morning. I'm glad to be here with you. I appreciate this tradition you have, the huddle, which you come to learn about all the different aspects of Greene County and the community. Um, Watershed has been a partner of Greene County since 1984. We share the mission, which is there on the screen, to sustain and improve our water resources through education and effective management of the region's watersheds. And there is a powerful partnership at the core of this, which is the three-way funding agreement between city utilities, the city of Springfield, and leverage everybody's dollar in the spirit of keeping our water clean. And again, that's been a tradition since 1984 when the Watershed Committee was formed. The reason we were formed is we had some issues with our drinking water here in Springfield, particularly up around Fellows Lake. So, the border, the urban service boundary, which was created out of part of that, um, the formation of the Watershed Committee and the urban service area, and a lot of the education we do around on-site wastewater all sort of stemmed from those events of the early 80s. So, it's important to remember that what we do here. Uh, Morning, guys. Uh, what we do here is part of a broader effort. So, protecting water is part of our community's comprehensive plan called Forward SGF. It's also part of the integrated plan, which we'll talk about a little bit more. As far as Greene County is concerned, also you are responsible for a MS4 permit, and Watershed helps Greene County, particularly Tim Davis, get that together to make sure we're meeting our federally mandated requirements for water quality. And there's some other plans out there which dovetail really with what we all do together. So when we are talking as a community, let me see if I can get these to advance. No, you're fine. Um, we all know that money is tight, right? Getting the best bang for our buck, the most for our dollar. So, with the city and city utilities, we've undergone this really interesting process to see how we can get the best bang for our buck for water quality. Um, It's called the sustainable return on investment model. So we have these different ways to make water cleaner, from building treatment plants to funding street sweepers to on-site wastewater. But those are also different. How do you compare apples to apples? Well, this sustainable return on investment model helped us do that, and not only looked at the straight cost of it, but the environmental, social, and economic impact of these things we can do. So these were the different ways we have to keep water clean. And those are the ones that were put into the sustainable return on investment model. I want to highlight two of them where Greene County really stepped up to help us study those impacts. Cattle exclusion and septic tanks were things that we studied with the help of Greene County. And Tim Davis, again, if you want to say anything more about that, you'd be welcome to. Feel free to just interrupt me or ask questions later, but I'll do my best to summarize here. You're doing great, Mark. Okay, good. Doing okay so far. So when we looked at all that, here's how they stacked up. Um, Floatable controls is the first one that ranks really high, and this is where the blue line is where you get the return on investment that's above 1 to 1. So if it's below the line, not such a good investment. Above the line, you're getting a pretty powerful investment for your dollar. So floatable controls, that's something we actually don't really deal with. Those are like trash nets. So we have some in the city now. You've seen like litter in the urban landscape, right? Well, that litter, water collects it, and unfortunately, it collects it in places like Jordan Creek. But floatable controls are trash nets that collect that trash, and then those trash nets are removed and disposed of. So that's what that is. Watershed doesn't deal much with that. What we do a lot with is public outreach. The highest scoring mechanism there, riparian restoration, cattle exclusion, and this issue of on-site wastewater. It's called septic tank on there. So I'm gonna talk about those a little bit more. The Watershed Center has been in operation since 2012. Hopefully, you've had a chance to visit. It's a wonderful place where students from all over the area come, thousands of students, and with our local schools, the field trips that they take, what they learn there is integrated with what they're learning in the classroom. So this has taken years, but we work with Springfield Public Schools and other schools to make sure that kids are, first of all, outside. They're experiencing the Ozarks and water and catching crawdads and stuff, but that is also tied in with whatever they're learning in the classroom. And there's a lot of great ways to do that. So it's age appropriate, place based, experiential water education. Um, that's a lot to say, but it's really good. It's really good education. Um, It's also a public park. Hopefully, you've been out there and walked or ran or taken your dog, but there's a lot of interpretive signage just for the sort of passive usage of the area. It's really the heart of our educational mission. Um, we operate watershed natives. Native plants are a great strategy for water quality because they make our soils healthier and they help take nutrients out of the water. They help water get into the ground. They're also a really good educational tool. Talking about water can get, it's hard to get people's attention unless there's a crisis, like you don't think about your power till it goes out. And hopefully, if there's anybody in this room have power outage currently, oh, good. Everybody's got power. Good. You had a power outage for quite a while. We were talking about that, but water's the same way. It's like it's pretty cheap. It's practically free. It comes out of your tap. Most people don't think about it, but when you sell native plants and talk about water in that context, it turns out it's a great way to reach people, and they're good for other things too, like habitat for all different um, things like monarch butterflies. Fellows Lake, we're operating out there. Our role is to run the dock and the store. The reason we do that in partnership with city utilities is because it's just a great way to talk about the mission out there, to meet people and talk about the resource. There's a lot of people that go out to Fellows Lake that don't realize it's our drinking water. So anytime someone interfaces with us, we have the opportunity to give them the information they need to be stewards of that place, or drop a little bit of history and context about Fellows Lake, because it is really the sort of the crown jewel of our water supply. Um, and it's a beautiful place. Had some great trails going in over the last several years. There's a wonderful new accessible playground, the Hatch playground, accessible for all. We've added a lot of accessibility on the dock so that people can get onto boats and kayaks, even if they have mobility issues. And the sailing program is pretty cool too, because you don't have to have a sailboat to learn how to sail. You can take your courses, your education, and then just check out a boat. So you don't have that barrier to entry for that sport, which is a great low impact use of the space. So we're gonna move into talking about rivers now. Um, so the green lines are where this is on the Upper James. The green lines are where the channel was, and the orange line is where the channel is now. And just for some like bigger scale context here, the Sac River, Little Sac, the James, they are eroding at rates that have not been seen before, in at least our recollection. And this is coming from ORI, which is the Ozarks Environment and Water Resources Institute. They're seeing these changes happen faster than we ever have seen them across the Ozarks. They're studying the Gasconade and bunch of rivers. We're also seeing this won't be any big shocker either, but increased frequency and magnitude of flooding. Okay. We did just have the wettest April and May on record. And so our streams are wiggling around a lot. That's causing a lot of erosion. That's a big problem. We do know that back to the sustainable return on investment model, riparian protection, when I say riparian, that's the land along the stream. Riparian protection is one of the best things we can do, one of the best ROI bang for the buck things. And even restoration, that's a lot more expensive, but this is a place up on the Little Sock um, that we were able to do a pretty big restoration project on. So none of us, Greene County or Watershed, have the resources to do that ourselves. But what Watershed often does is apply for grant funding or patching funding together so that we can do like bigger projects like this. And Greene County has been a great partner. In fact, they've identified over the years some of our restoration sites. Shout out to the Greene County environmental team. For helping us as those arise. They're always supportive. And the results are beautiful. This is the first year. This has withstood a whole bunch of massive floods now. We got it done in the late summer of 2023, and it's holding up really well. And now the trees that we planted along with natural trees are starting to populate, and there's a really productive agricultural field on the past the riparian area there. So that's something that we like to do, but we recognize there's a lot more of it to do out there, especially with how fast our rivers are moving. um, so cattle exclusion was one of those strategies that Greene County helped us study, and that's what we mean by that is just keeping the cows out of the creek. And usually do that by providing alternative water sources, wells, stock tanks, things like that, and rotational grazing systems. And so, usually, a partner on those endeavors are Greene County Soil and Water District, Natural Resources Conservation Service. We're actually doing pretty big. It's actually the biggest project we've ever done. It's called the RCPP, Regional Conservation Partnership Program. And that brought in several $1 million of cost share funding to local farmers who want to do conservation practices like this, targeted in the Upper James River watershed. So this is an example of the success that we've had. The black and white there, that is a aerial photo from the 50s or 60s. And then on the right there, you can see that's the same location. And what we've done is just provided a riparian buffer. So that strip of trees along the creek down the center, that's what if I had a magic wand, I would just allow our rivers and streams to have 50 to 100 feet of buffer like that. That would solve nutrient problems. It would alleviate some flooding issues, erosion. It would help a lot with erosion. Keeps the water cool so it holds more oxygen, all sorts of things. So that's kind of the dream. And here's the thing with that rotational grazing system, the farm is more productive now. They can put more cattle per acre on that ground because the grass grows better. And Shelby actually did a detailed soils map of that place, super high resolution, so that we have baseline data and we can and see how the soil changes over time if it does. But we can already see it's way more productive. So it's one of those win-win-win solutions, and that's where I wanted to show this slide. I think people have a tendency to like blame stuff on other people. So, like the city, urban dwellers often say, well, the water quality problems are from people in the country, from farmers, and vice versa. And, maybe there's some tit for tat with city and county, and water quality people, I think, used to see farmers as the enemy, right? Well, farmers really are our best hope. They are our biggest opportunity for water quality. This young man, his name is James Tucker. He graduated at MU Law School and he is farming. He is a farmer. He's moving towards organic, he's moving towards soil health. Um, we have the ability to use the land in different ways. Some of those ways are sort of bankrupting, where you're trending towards erosion, your soil is less healthy, your nutrients aren't cycling, and they're going into the river. But you can also use the same piece of land in a productive way, which does the opposite of that, which is land healing and water healing. So we really cherish the opportunity, embrace the opportunity to work with producers out there and Greene County Soil and Water, Greene County Environmental, the NRCS, the Conservation Department. We have some wonderful partnerships to do that. And that's the big project that I mentioned. We actually have a different one that we didn't get that one, but we'll keep trying. Um, so then that last really powerful bang for the buck strategy was centered around on-site wastewater, and that's where like Michael Bowers and his team really help out. Over the years, we've developed a whole bunch of educational materials for homeowners, and when they go out and do inspections, they can provide those materials. We're excited about a new project, which is a lot of times when people are moving into this area, and you're seeing it right in Greene County, people coming from all over California, Texas, Colorado, whatever. They're buying a place, probably with some acreage, and it probably has a septic tank, probably has a well, and they may or may not have any idea how to take care of those things, which poses water quality risks and can just be really darn expensive if those systems fail. So, with the help of Greene County and the assessor's office, we're looking forward to providing materials about wells and septic tank on-site wastewater maintenance to people who are like new, who just purchased a property. So we think that'll be a targeted and effective way to just help people out. Um, of course, in the interest of clean water. So one of the best parts of this whole thing is everybody needs clean water. We need it for different reasons, but we all need it. And we have a wonderful local community of professionals that collaborate really well together to make that happen. So, Greene County, city utilities, Parks Department, private businesses. There's just a broad swath of organizations that help, and then a lot of people within those organizations that help in different ways, from people that operate our wastewater facilities to do our stormwater inspections to all those important things that kind of make the world go around. So anyway, that's what I have for you, and think we're right about on time. Time for a couple questions or okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. The question was, where can homeowners find information about wells and septic tanks and things like that? And so you can find that on our website. We have an education tab at the Watershed .org website, and also Greene County has that information. Michael, do you want to speak to the how folks can get info from you?
Yeah, we have some pamphlets on each system design that we permit. We have those available in hard copy in our office and also in the permitting office. And we will have those on our website as well. If we can answer questions at any point in time, you can contact our staff in our office, or any homeowner can answer any questions relating to the wastewater system and how to maintain that system.
Hmm. Yeah, they're really good at explaining and helping people over there. Yeah, question.
Getting back to the picture you showed of the James River flow, how
Hmm.
much of that change was due to natural events versus human intervention?
The question about, let's see. Yeah, the question about this is how much of this is natural versus how much is sort of human caused. Is that
Yeah, and
y-
also, was this a goal or was this oops, we didn't want it to do that?
yeah. The second part of the question was, did we want this to happen or not? And so this, we were actually contacted by the property owner, and he is distraught because he's lost most of his hayfield at this point. So, as far as wanting it to happen, definitely not. He also lost a lot of in between the green and the orange lines there. There were a lot of beautiful, sort of magnificent oak trees that went into the river. So he's really disappointed at the outcome and also hoping that we can work with him. This is actually the next restoration site we're hoping to do. As far as how much is human caused and not, that's a very hard thing to parse out, and I could never say anything definitively and be right because it's hard to know. But I'll tell you this: even in the natural areas of our river systems right now, they seem to be moving and eroding faster than we've ever seen. But I can darn sure tell you, if you cut the trees up to the edge of the water, it's going to unravel much faster. Um, Tim Davis, am I good on that statement? Do you?
Yeah, I'll go along.
Okay, we got Tim's verification there, but there's an old saying: if you cut the trees to see the river will come to you, and so and it will. I mean, it's like clockwork. You'll see it. Um, so then the other part of that is like our climate is changing. Is that human caused and how much? And we'll never know, but it's definitely a different hydrologic thing happening than we've seen since we've been measuring the Ozarks. So like that's a part of it too. I'll leave it up to everybody to sort of think about how that might be an impact. And then there's one more human impact, which seems to have a big role, but we're not exactly sure how much, which is all this country was clear cut, at the turn of the century, 1800s, early 1900s. And all these river bottoms, almost all of them, were farmed in a very traditional manner. So we have these massive slugs of gravel moving through the system. If you know any like old timers, you'll hear them say something like, "Well, there used to be a great swimming hole down there 8 feet deep, but now it's just full of gravel," right? And so that part of that is definitely because of our land use practices for 100 years. So great question. Very a lot of a rich question to unpack there. Yeah.
I said that statement about the swimming pool, am I an old timer? You need a plant sale, how much longer is that?
Yeah, so with Watershed Natives, we're doing plant sales, and you can find those on our website. Sometimes we'll do them at like a brewery or at a public event. But also, we're open, I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, which that'll be on our website too. And I can't remember, Jim, exactly when we're open, but the location is by the yard waste recycling facility down there by JTech. So you can go and you can drop off your recyclables and your yard waste, and you can get compost and swing by and get some native plants if you go on the right day. So, yeah, good question. Thank you.
Got some native plants over at a plant sale 4 weeks ago. I was really impressed with the quality. They're doing well.
Good. Thank you. Compliment there on the quality of native plants. They're fun to watch them grow, right? I have milkweed at the house, and I never realized that it smells like lilacs. Like when it gets big, that common milkweed, it smells wonderful. That's kind of bad marketing, milkweed. Now, honeysuckle, that's great marketing, but it's a terrible plant. It's so invasive. So, all right. Well, Thank you for your time and your questions, and let me be a part of the huddle today.